Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos speaking to you from our studios we got a call coming in right here. Good morning, you're on Today in LA. How you doing?
Hey, morning. How are y'all?
Mike Amos calling in from the beaches of West Coast, Panama City area, Grayton Beach. How's the weather down there, Mike, right off the bat?
We're under tornado watch right now, so we're putting under tornado watches. Of course, we got to worry about tornadoes, water spouts. Looks like it's going to come over Mobile sometime tonight, tomorrow morning. A lot of rain. They said we're going to get 14 inches of rain. I hope our sump pump and our drains work. If we lose power, the drainage system we put in doesn't work, so we might be moving over to my wife's mother's house next door to us. So I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see throughout the day.
I tell you, we're expecting a lot of rain now. They've made this thing out to be a Category 1 hurricane. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it was Category 2 all day yesterday. It was crazy. I watched it because they had the kids. They canceled preschool in all Walton County schools yesterday. They kind of jumped the gun on that because the weather wasn't too bad yesterday. It wasn't very windy, wasn't much rain, but we were home with the kids, and now we're closed again today. Probably will be closed again tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what they were thinking to be closed the shop yesterday. It was not that bad, but it'll just be interesting. Bay County schools are closed as well. It's not just, South Walton schools where we are, but Destin's supposed to get, I think, 14 inches of rain. We're supposed to get 12 inches of rain.
Yeah.
It's just such a slow-moving storm that it hadn't even made landfall yet. It was 100 miles an hour last night. Now it's down to 85, which is good. But it could hit right up through Mobile. So the flooding is going to be the big issue with this one, it looks like.
Well, and of course, it's is it out of the range of those folks in Louisiana that had it so bad? Are they out of danger now?
Louisiana's fine. This is a Mississippi, Alabama, North Florida panhandle storm now.
You don't think it'll stay so much that it'll go on up the East Coast and affect our friends at Middle Tennessee? What do you think?
I mean, it could affect a lot of practices. I mean, Troy's going to get a lot of this. I imagine Troy, they don't have an indoor facility, so they're going to be probably practicing in the Trojan Arena the next couple of days, I would think.
Did you see South Alabama's new enclosed arena? Can you believe all that? Their program is their program is moving like gangbusters. It's amazing. They have outdistanced us already now on facilities.
Yeah, they have. It's sad to say that, but yeah, the indoor practice facility is right behind the football stadium, and that's what I've been saying. That's the next thing Troy's got to do, because UAB also has that indoor practice facility. It's kind of an indoor-outdoor, where you still have some open air, but yeah, Troy's definitely got to look into that, on down the road. I know Coach Lindsey and Brent Jones are probably already in.
The key now is where they're going to put it, is where they will put it, I think. And another thing, everything is, and I like this now, don't get me wrong, it's aesthetically correct. Are you aesthetically correct on how something looks? Troy is a beautiful, beautiful campus, and I don't think they want to stick a indoor arena in that's going to cover up some of the beautiful architecture we already got.
Of course, a lot of heartbreak in Mobile for that South Alabama Tulane game. You get up 24-6. I pretty much watched the whole game, and you kind of thought it was over with. You were going to say, wow, South Alabama's going to start season 2-0 and beat Southern Miss and a really good Tulane team and all that momentum. And then before you know it, Tulane makes a great comeback and takes the lead with about 3 minutes left, and then one of the crazier calls. I saw a lot of interesting calls this week in football, pro and college.
Yeah.
And they go for the block with about 1:30 left, and South Alabama had no timeouts, so I don't know if they could have had a chance to kick field goal or not. But the guy goes to leap up, and he got called for leaping, which is a personal foul penalty for the block punt. But when he jumped, the big lineman, all he did was flip him up.
Yeah.
And when he flipped him up, it made it look like he was,
diving over
up in the air. and that kind of made it, more for that referee to make that call. So I kind of thought that was a bad call.
I do. I thought it was too, especially to end a football game like that. No question about it. Reminds me a little bit of the Dallas game last night. Dallas, the guy throws a long pass, and he's all just trying to clear himself from the defender, and they call him pushing off. If the ball would have given them a first down, probably at least a field goal to put it in overtime, and that was a tough way for Dallas to lose yesterday too.
Yeah, I read something about after the game. In the last 10 games, touchdowns or less, Dallas is 1-9. They just don't know how to win a close game. That's one of the main reasons they didn't sign Dak Prescott to a long-term contract. But I watched that game. I was just scratching my head when Mike McCarthy, the new coach,
he's
the Dallas game. All he had to do was kick a chip shot field goal to tie it 20-20 in the fourth quarter, but he went for it on 4th and 3. So the game already should have been tied. That could have been potentially for a game-winning field goal.
Well, he was about as laid back as I've ever seen him. He let that. Was the defensive coordinator doing all the work or what?
There's a guy that used to play quarterback at Boise State that is his offense coordinator.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. But that was one of the worst calls I've seen in a long time, because that was definitely not offensive pass interference.
Yeah. You got to clear yourself. You got to be able to clear your arms,
Jalen Ramsey, the guy that just got signed for like $100 million, one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
He is good, isn't he?
He got beat, though, and he was just complaining so much.
Yeah.
And had his hands up in there, just complaining to the ref, and it's like he won the call because, no way this guy could outrun me.
And do you let a play like that in the ball game? That's what I'm saying. This could have happened midway through the first half or the third or the second half, and you could have understood a little bit more, but not a game winner. They had held him, and they throw a bomb, and the guy makes a great catch, and they call him pushing off. I thought it was a bad call.
The problem with that play is the offensive player wasn't arguing his case.
Yeah,
like he did something wrong, which I didn't think he did anything wrong. There's a lot of amazing plays in football. We need to somehow get a clip of that amazing finish in high school ball to say that Hillcrest from Tuscaloosa beat Wetumpka. That's made national and worldwide headlines. They basically had no time left and scored on the last play of the game, basically just throwing laterals back and forth to each other.
But it was on a kick. It was on a kickoff, though, wasn't it?
I thought it was the last play of the game. I'll have to go back and look.
All right, maybe it was. I didn't see it. I know this, that they talked about it nationwide. It was unreal. And
yeah, it was amazing. It was lateral after lateral after lateral. Then the guy picked it up, and then I guess they thought the ball was dead. And the guy ran it all the way in for a touchdown. They won the game. It was unbelievable.
That's right. And, of course, it got national attention. I want to go through some of the high school games. We want to do that. We're waiting on our good friend Bill Rice Jr. is coming on our show in a few moments.
What about Troy City Schools? Are they closed?
To my knowledge, no. Steve, is that true? Troy City Schools are open, are they? Right now, yes, they are open. And we're looking for some heavy rain sometime today and into the mornings. So I think that's going to be the cause, pretty much. That's my game.
Big news out of Troy yesterday. I'll talk to you about it, but huge news as far as exposure. Troy's game against Middle Tennessee State will now be at 3 o'clock on ESPN2. So a lot of people don't have ESPNU, so having ESPN2 is pretty normal for most people to have. So that's going to be millions and millions of people that can watch that Troy game now.
Exactly right, and we're tickled pink, and we've got a giant screen at our club, and that's going to be a great place to watch the ball game. I've had several people to call me and ask me if I'm going to the game, but I can't find anybody that would go with me. I might be interested in going to the game, but you and I have driven up there and come back before, haven't we?
Yeah, the weather, I was looking at it, even down here, it's going to be in the 60s this weekend. I would imagine
beautiful.
It'll be in the 50s.
I know it. It's cool out there now. You know, I've always on this show, and of course I've been doing the show since 1998. I love this time of year where we're starting to get colder nights and the grass stops growing. I don't know if it stopped growing or not yet because it was really hot this weekend, really hot. But there's a chance, if, like you said, if it gets down to the 60s, it'll start the grass will start wilting a little bit.
Yeah, it's still growing down here. Troy's a 3-point favorite out in Vegas, which is interesting, considering Middle Tennessee's first game against Army, they got beat 42-0.
Yeah.
So Troy is barely the favorite going into this game on the road.
Something I'm a little bit concerned about too is the BYU Army game has been called off. I don't like stuff like that. What do you think?
Yeah, they got called off due to some COVID testing and tracing. But you got to think they'll have 2 weeks, so Troy should be good, I would think, by the time they play Troy.
Yeah, I know it.
So far, nothing has come out as far as that game being canceled. So you hope, for Troy's sake, that they'll play it.
Well, you haven't seen where it's going to be canceled?
No.
The Army BYU game.
Army BYU is canceled.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Nothing to come out about the Troy.
Oh yeah, and hopefully it won't. In fact, right now, here comes Bill Rice. And he'll be, like he says, like his mama told him, he says, better late than never. Of course, Rice is in here on a Tuesday, and we're looking.
What can you say about the Sun Belt, though? The best weekend in Sun Belt football history. You beat 3 Big 12 teams. 2 games were blowouts. You had Coastal Carolina, they were up 28-0 against Kansas. I think they finished the game 38-23, and then you had Iowa State playing Lafayette. Louisiana Lafayette won 31-14, and then you had Kansas State come back. Arkansas State come back and beat Kansas State 35-31 with Lane Hatcher, the former Alabama transfer quarterback. So, unbelievable day for the Sun Belt Conference.
And South Alabama should have beaten Tulane.
Yeah, should.
They outplayed them for most of the game.
They shouldn't have. You know, I watched that.
I'll say this, though. Lafayette was more physical and definitely faster than Iowa State. There wasn't even a question.
Yeah, I know.
Faster team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
and Arkansas State had a lot more yards than Kansas State did. They turned the ball over and had punts blocked, and they had to come back to win, but they really should have won.
I tell you what, now let me tell you this: 2 guys stood out to me. 2 big linemen stood out to me. That nose guard for Arkansas State, you can't block him. Weighed about 350.
Yeah.
He's a number 92.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. He wore them out, and it made 2 people have to block him, and that was a big plus there. And then another big situation, Mike, and I talked to you a little bit about this yesterday. The starting offensive tackle for South Alabama weighs about 325 to 350. He's huge. He's huge. They ran in and around and over him all night long. He couldn't block anybody,
Yep.
and that's how the Tulane came back. Do you see what I mean?
I watched about every play of that game.
You notice that big guy could not block anybody.
He had a terrible game. Bless his heart. He just holding penalties and then just ran right around them.
And they just ran around him. Mike, before this game, I think you've heard me say all week. I thought that Tulane was a good football team, and they didn't show it in the first half. In fact, it looked like it was going to be a runaway. But what they did, their front won that ball game. They started putting pressure on this guy, and this quarterback who looked so great in the first half, Mike, looked very mediocre in the second half for South Alabama.
That's right, because you're right, but he didn't have hardly any time. He didn't have any time.
And another thing I noticed about him, Mike, he had no scramble ability at all. They got him so many times, it's pitiful. I don't know how many sacks they had in the second half, but I would say between 5 and 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, South Alabama, blew a chance to start the game. I don't know if you realize, but they got the ball, I think, in midfield and drove all the way to the 5-yard line. The quarterback's going in for a touchdown and fumbles.
Yeah.
South Alabama, that was huge. They would have gone up 7-0 early. And anytime you fumble inside the 1-yard line, that's not a good sign to win a game.
That's right.
What did y'all think about their stadium? You know, they really showed it off on the telecast, and I thought it was really pretty.
It was great exposure for South Alabama, no question. You're right.
I mean, if that's 7,000 fans, that's got to make you think Detroit's going to probably be about 14,000 fans, probably. That was a loud stadium for 7,000 fans.
I tell you what's scaring me, though. I'm scared whether or not we'll have tickets. Right now, people can't even get tickets to the game this weekend. And of course, and that's just 4 days, 5 days away.
We're talking about for home games, not.
Oh, I know it. I understand. Yeah.
Well, have y'all picked up on something? Maybe it's just me. That they've got these few fans and they're spaced out, and it looks like to me that the fans are more laid back than they've been because it's like a scrimmage atmosphere, and they're not bunched in and into every play. So you do got some fans, but the fans who are there aren't into the game as much. I mean, South Alabama was maybe a little different because that was history in the making, playing in that new stadium. But I'm talking about the Florida State game, the Iowa State fans. Yeah. They're just kind of blah. They were just kind of blah.
Yeah. Kansas State was into that game. That was a lot of people at that Kansas State Arkansas State. There had to be 20,000 people there.
But did you get the impression they made a lot of noise and were into it? Yeah.
I felt like at the end of the game they were.
Yeah. I tell you what, it was quite a few surprises, and you look at the this time of year, especially in the pros, you take the team that's getting the points because it's crazy as they can be. Of course, right now the favorites are having a hard time, especially in the pros.
Take the Sun Belt underdog.
That's right. I'll take the Sun Belt underdog. No question about it. We've got a good show for you today, and of course we've got a big game coming up in less than, I've got it. Today's the 15th. Tomorrow's the 16th. Thursday is the 17th. Friday is the 18th, and not the 19th at 3 o'clock. Is that the game time, Mike? 3 o'clock?
Yeah, 3 o'clock in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Troy opened up a 4-point favorite where I looked, and then it's moved down to 3.5. So it's the early money on Middle Tennessee State.
I saw 3 yesterday, but I just saw where the Titans came back and won last night. I didn't even watch the game. They won 16-14 at Denver. Henry rushed 31 times for 116 yards.
Yeah, and of course,
feed him. He likes that ball. Give it to him.
Yeah, he does. But it's amazing how they can't score more points than that. The final score was 16-14. Was that the score?
A lot of low-scoring games. Did y'all notice that?
They said the kicker missed several field goals for the Titans. I just read that.
I tell you, the kicker that ought to be ashamed of himself, and I apologize. Because I'm heartfelt by him. This kid from from Texas State, Mike. I know he missed 3, maybe 4 chip shot field goals.
He missed that many? I saw
and he won 2 that would have won the ball game, I think.
Yeah, the extra point would have won the game.
I mean, isn't that a shame, though? How many did he miss all together? Do you know?
I think 3, but did you watch the Georgia Tech kicker? I mean, Georgia Tech upsets Florida State.
Yeah.
He had 3 extra points blocked.
Oh, man, he just couldn't get it up in the air?
Yeah, couldn't get up in the air. The same guy, Wilson, the big defensive lineman, blocked him. But I tell you what, that Florida State-Georgia Tech game I watched, that was delayed by lightning. It started at 2:30.
I know.
It didn't end until almost 8 o'clock.
Yep.
I knew it was
I watched
bad.
Another game that some team came back. It was Cincinnati Bengals in Burrow's debut, and drove down the field at the end of the game, almost scored, had a penalty in the numerous flag league that always determines the outcome of games, flags. So they backed them up from the goal line, and they had a 31-yard chip shot to tie the game and send it into overtime. Missed it.
Who was that missed it?
So the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Luckily, somebody had the other team, so that was a good miss for me.
I know.
I'll tell you what, if you're a pro kicker and you can't make a 31-yard field goal, you'll not have a job.
You know who can make one is Pike Liberal Arts kicker. I watched their game Friday night where they just annihilated Lee. And their kicker is everything I've heard he was. Boy, he kicks it into the end zone on the kickoffs, and his extra points and field goals, look like they'd be good from 50 yards. He's impressive.
I want to say he's a junior, and he's already committed to Troy. And you know who he is, though,
I think
Mike?
he's a senior.
Oh, he is a senior.
Has he committed to Troy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a senior.
Mike, I didn't know he was a senior. Of course, it's tell him who he is and who's
He could
daddy.
kick. He could kick for Alabama right now.
I know his last name's Renfro. I don't know his first name.
Well, I know what I'm saying though. You grew up with his daddy, and boy, he is a great kicker.
His dad was a lineman. Not anything close to being a kicker.
Yeah, I know.
Is his daddy Al?
Al Renfro's his daddy. Yeah.
Oh, we all know Al was on that Dixie Boys team that won the World Series.
And Brother Jones is
That's his uncle.
Uncle, yeah, exactly.
He is a fine man. Good. He was a good athlete. He was a good football player. I remember him. He was a tough football player.
Who's that?
His daddy, Charles
Yeah.
Henderson.
Oh yeah.
He was probably Jay Jeffco's favorite player of all time.
Well, that's
Every time
good.
you see Al, he was next to Jeffco.
Yeah. Well, he was his
His son
son's
could
gonna
kick.
be a good kicker.
And I'll tell you who else is a good kicker is Charles Henderson's kicker, who commutes from Pike Road every day. My wife is good friends with the family, and there's about people don't know this, there's 4 or 5 people from Pike Road that go to school at Charles
I didn't know
Henderson.
that. That's amazing.
And now he has COVID. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but he's fine. He's like everybody else. He's asymptomatic. My wife told me that he's out with COVID, but she saw some pictures of him swimming yesterday, so he must.
Well, I tell you what, it's sure here to stay. It looks like, and
What is the high school scores? I mean, we had Auburn, Enterprise, Eufaula, Rehoboth.
I'm gonna give them to you right now, real quick. And these are just games that are close to home. And of course, on Saturday, Central Phoenix City walloped Jeff Davis 37-6. And who did you say was Central coach now, Mike? Cox.
Patrick Nix.
Patrick Nix. Yeah, Patrick Nix, whose son is the quarterback at Auburn. Here's some Friday scores. Auburn High School, who seems to be loaded right now, beat Dothan 42-13. These are just games that are close to us. Enterprise beat Davidson, drove all the way down there and beat them 52-13. Other games, Hoover University, as they call it, beat Gadsden 38-0. Murphy, coach 31, Mary Montgomery 13. Pryville beat Smith Station 31-3. Old Mountain, Mike.
What about the games we picked?
Oh well, we'll go over those too.
Oak Mountain upset Vestavia. Buddy Anderson's last year is looking awful at Vestavia. They hadn't lost to Oak Mountain in years. Of course, they couldn't play the first 2 games because he had COVID. So I bet you he wish he went in and retired last year.
I tell you, a lot of these teams here, like Theodore beats Daphne. Daphne was loaded, and Theodore beats them overtime 21-20. Thompson, who a lot of people think is the best team in the state, beat Spain Park, but they beat them 48-35.
Did y'all talk about the Hillcrest Tuscaloosa play yet?
Yeah, we've already talked about that. That play was made famous by our buddies from out west, Mike.
I figured they would go viral.
Stanford made that famous, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the play went viral on the internet. I mean, people all over America have seen it.
Oh, it was on national TV.
I wish we could pull it up to show on the show.
I know it. Maybe Steve can find it for us. In Class 6A, just looking at a few of them down the stretch here, Carver beat Park Crossing 20-14. You had
Eufaula got beat again by Opelika.
Yeah, Opelika beat, and Opelika hadn't won a game, I don't think, until that happened.
I think I picked this Opelika.
That's right.
Hooray for Bulldogs. Remember me doing my cheer?
Yeah, exactly right.
Locally, Goshen got blown out again by Childersburg.
Yeah, that's a pretty good team though. Childersburg is, and Goshen has moved up in the classifications. Some other games that you might be concerned with. Carver, okay. Wetumpka loses to Hillcrest of Tuscaloosa 34-30. That was a game played on Friday night. Some other quick games. Valley beat Russell County 1-0. They forfeited. There's quite a few forfeits in here. Russell County, I can tell over the years, has not cared much about their football program. We used to go there and do the games. They didn't even have a program. And when they don't have a program, they don't care much for the game. I tell you who was bad about doing that was Russell County and also south side of Selma. And both of them big well, one out of the baseball school and one out of the
They
baseball
had no
school.
quarterback club that could sell
That's right.
ads for a program. That's sad.
Opelika beat you follow 28-21, so tough luck for Coach Rigsby there. Oxford is loaded to the hilt. They beat Southside of Gadsden 56-0. Looking at the 5A, Carroll High, I told y'all, did you hear me tell y'all they were going to beat Rehoboth? Carroll High beat Rehoboth 21-14, so that was a huge win for the new coach at Carroll.
Good.
Congratulations to them. Central of Clay, Mike, is now considered to be a game. They beat Elmore County 55-6. Greenville is undefeated still. They beat Headland 18-6. Looking at some other games, Pike Road is just, boy, they're loaded. Rice, they beat Andalusia 39-18. So that was a big win.
They got a real good
their
athletic quarterback too.
He must. And Ramsey might beat Parker 1-0. That was just a team that just decided they didn't want to play, don't you think?
Those are two Birmingham schools.
And then here's the Battle of Mobile. St. Paul Episcopal beat UMS Wright 34-32.
See, at least they got to play that game. That's a big rivalry.
Sylacauga beat Tallahassee 41-21. In 4A competition, there's not a lot of 4A teams in our area. Dale County beat Geneva 28-22. And we're looking at, we got a call coming in here. Let's check it out. Good morning. You're on today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. It's Will Matthews.
Good to hear from you, Will. Hold on a minute. We're going to go here and here. Well, let's see here. Bang, bang. There we go.
All right, you got it.
All right, guys. We got Will Matthews on. Mike Amos from Graydon Beach. How you doing today, Will?
I'm doing good.
Will, we're doing some high school scores right now. We'll be right with you. Big win for Carroll High with a beat Rehoboth 21-14. Did you even know that, Will?
Yeah, first win for them.
I know it. That was a big win, too.
Pike County won big.
Boy, Pike County looks like they loaded again, Mike. They had a kid that scored 6 touchdowns.
Oh, my gosh.
6 touchdowns and two-point conversions. So he scored 40 points. How about that? 40 points. I want to say his name's McKinney. We need to get his name. He is really, really a good player.
That's amazing.
And
Well, they probably don't have many substitutes to put in to call off the dogs, literally.
Strawn beat Ashford 19-0. We'll get with you in a minute, Will. Childersburg walloped Goshen 53-12. Fife, who is their coach, won their 300th game at Fife. Beat Sylvania 49-20. Montgomery Academy, south side of Selma, just decided they didn't want to play, and so the forfeit there. Montgomery Catholic, who is loaded, buddy, they're loaded. You know, we thought that was strange that they beat Charles Henson like they did early in the year. Well, they beat Reeltown 35-20, and pretty good program. New Brighton beat Daleville 47-8, and what's happened to Daleville, I don't know. Opp beat Houston Academy 35-0. In other games, Pike County walloped Dadeville 60-0, and Coach Holland is on his way. In other games, Slocum.
That was their first game of the year.
Yes,
What I'm
sir,
seeing here is, aren't y'all seeing the same thing? There's a lot of blowout games. We talked about that earlier.
You tell a lot of coaches didn't want to play this year.
Yeah.
The Red Tops beat Providence 44-14. Who are the Red Tops, Mike?
Slocum.
I know it. I just wanted to make sure you knew. In fact, you go into my grocery store down at the beach, Will, and it says Slocum tomatoes.
Absolutely.
And boy, they are good looking out there. That's the place to buy tomatoes on the beach, isn't it?
Well, they got the best tomatoes anywhere.
Well, Mike, what'd you say?
Carousel.
Yeah, Carousel. It's really the place to buy tomatoes. Okay, we're going over some scores real quick. T.R. Miller beat Chickasaw 52-6. Looking at 2A, Abbeville, who is loaded this year, it looks like, beat Cottonwood 41-0. Other games close to us. B.B. Comer beat Lafayette 22-19. Other scores in Class
The big game
2A.
I mentioned is Geneva won a shootout against Arrington, Geneva County.
Geneva County 54, Arrington 41, and the great running back who is considered the top junior running back in the state. He leads his team. Hartford beat Arrington 54-41. Elba beat Zion Chapel 38-7. Geneva County, we already done that. GW Long still loaded. They beat Houston County 42-8. In other games in our area, Leroy, Greene County decided not to play Greene. I'm just looking at some of these forfeits that some of these teams I don't believe just wanted to play. Luverne beat Millery. 51-33. That was a game that was forfeited by Luverne, and then they just picked up a game.
Good for them. Good. I'm glad they picked it up. Got to pick up a W.
Yeah. Mars Hill Bible beat Hatton 46-24. I just want to throw that in. All right. Now in 1A,
High Lib won 49-0. Is that right?
they won more than that. They won 50-something-0. We'll get that.
There was a touchdown in that game. They had technical difficulties, but before it went off, the quarterback for Pike LeBlanc, what's his last name? White, the coach's son.
Yeah.
He scrambled around the whole field just like Fran Tarkenton or Roger Staubach, made the whole team miss him, ran backwards 20 yards, ran over to the sidelines, running out of real estate, and then he fires it all the way down the field right in the corner of the end zone, and the receiver makes a fantastic catch, puts his feet down, touchdown.
He's a great game. Yeah, one day, wouldn't you love to see Pike Liberal play Brantley? Brantley beat McKenzie 61-2. This is in 1A action. Florella beat Georgiana 42-14. Kinston beat Red Level 21-19. Maplesville did come back. They beat Billingsley 51-14. Looking at Sampson beat Pleasant Home 12-7. Looking at some other games close to home here. Notasulga beat Barber County 1-0. Barber County decided they weren't going to play.
A pitcher's duel.
And exactly, that's some of the high school games we wanted to give you.
Well, there are very few that were decided by a touchdown or less. They were, they're mostly blowouts.
Well, it's U.S. Open week, and I know Will Matthews probably played Wingfoot. So tell everybody about Wingfoot, Will.
Will, you've never played Wingfoot.
Oh, yeah.
No way, Will, no way. Huh?
Mike, I played Wingfoot back in the 70s, and I'll tell you how hard it is. Back then, I was a +4 handicap, meaning I was shooting par or better every round.
Yeah.
I played Wingfoot from the back tees, and I shot an 85. I could have shot 100.
Oh, man.
I had several lies in the rough, and I learned real quick, if you try to hit like a 7-iron out of the rough, it won't go 10 feet. You got to go in there and hit a sand wedge and just blast it back to the fairway. That's the only thing you can do. And it's probably the hardest course I've ever played.
Well, let's all brag about Stuart Sink. I watched. My second cousin was the nanny to Stuart Sink's children about 15 or 20 years ago from Atlanta. And one of those sons was caddying for his daddy, Stuart, who won for the first time in 11 years at the age of 47. So from Florence, Alabama.
Yeah. Stuart Sink won the Future Masters 2 years in a row.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
I'm glad.
47-year-old winners, that doesn't happen very much anymore.
Of course, he's out of Florence, Alabama, and played at Georgia Tech, didn't he? Didn't Stuart Sink play at Tech?
He did.
And,
I think he still lives over there.
his wife had battled cancer. It's a great story. You know, he didn't play a lot because he was back home trying to take care of his wife and her health.
Everybody remembers Stewart because who he beat to win that British Open. Tom Watson, 59-year-old Tom Watson, was getting ready to win the British Open, which would have been not only one of the most amazing golf victories of all time, one of the most amazing sports stories of all time, to win the British Open at age 59.
How old is Stewart now?
He's 47, so Watson was 12 years older than Stewart Sink.
Yeah.
And, you know, people forget, they remember Tom Watson got a real hard bogey on the last hole to go into a playoff and let Stewart into the playoff, where he blew him out in the playoff. But Stewart Sink sunk a clutch 15, 20-foot birdie on hole number 18 even to get in that playoff.
Yeah.
But
Watson is over 70 years old.
Yeah. How many tournaments is that for Stewart Sink? How many tournaments has he won on the tour?
He's only won seven times.
Yeah.
On the PGA
But
Tour.
I've said this many times though. He's been in the money a
Lot,
bunch. He's always made a good living on the tour.
I read up on him after he won, and at one time he was in the top 5 in the world, and you know he played on Ryder Cups and President's Cups, and yeah, he was real consistent. So he didn't have a ton of wins. He had some European wins and a lot of wins on the Nike Tour back then. But yeah, he
You
got
know
his seventh
who
win.
they say is his best friend, and he's a former Georgia Tech golfer. Y'all know who that is? I'll buy you a cup of coffee. You're right, Kuchar. And they're best friends, and they both played at Tech. I want to say the same time. Is that right?
I bet he's
I want to say Kuchar's a little younger.
yeah.
Yeah. But Kuchar, everybody loves Kuchar and everything, and
Sink is a class act.
Did you see where the guy out in Vegas put down $45,000 for Phil Mickelson to win at Wheatfoot at 75 to 1 odds? So if Mickelson at 50 years old wins at the U.S. Open, that guy would win $3.1 million.
oh
Mickelson
man,
wins.
that's something.
Gosh, I'm gonna put $10. He must know something.
And now let me ask this now.
I think they're safe on that. I don't think Phil's going to have a chance to win the U.S. Open.
Well, let me ask you this also.
Phil finished 42nd at Safeway Open this weekend. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, did he?
Well, too, Michael, that course, you have to hit the ball on the fairway, and Phil Mickelson is not an accurate driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were telling me right now that the best driver out there, who is that they were talking?
Dustin Johnson.
I wonder what Dustin Johnson's best putter out there right now. It looks like. But who are they talking about?
The tee is the best, too.
Who?
Dustin Johnson hits the ball off the tee the best right now.
So he's hitting it in the fairways more than anybody right now.
The fairway, and he's hitting it. He's bombing it, too.
Yeah.
So that's, you know.
Well, we had some good games. You didn't call in with your picks, and but it starts all this week. The picks start all this week, and we were looking at UAB ended up playing Miami pretty good, but again, Miami looks pretty good. What do you think?
They play Louisville this Saturday, and Louisville's got the quarterback from Park Crossing, I think, that's doing real well. And then Miami's got the quarterback that transferred from Houston.
Yeah.
Miami rushed for 350 yards against UAB.
Mike, I'll be frank with you, there's no way to pick anybody in these college games. Look at the 3 Sun Belt teams that beat Big 12 teams. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. Why in the world would anybody want to coach at Kansas? That's probably the worst program in the country.
It is.
It's Kansas. They're
If
terrible.
You remember, Mike, I don't know if you remember this because it's been 30 years ago. Kansas State was worse. Kansas State had the worst. They lost about 3
I remember
years
that.
in a row, didn't win a game. And then Bill Snyder turned that place around, and they've got a pretty good program now.
Yeah.
Even though they lost Saturday. But
I'll tell you what, we might be getting some 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Great Beach right now.
Oh boy, no question about it. You liable to blow
I
away.
might be seeing some trees falling.
But I did want to mention a few things. Who in the world had ever even heard of Charlotte? And now Charlotte's playing competitive football. They played very competitive against Appalachian State.
And I watched some of that game.
And where did they come from?
I've got all the scores if you want to hear them.
Okay, all right.
From Carolina.
Well, go ahead and give them to us, Mike, and we'll comment.
They beat Kansas the year before. That's what nobody realizes. Clemson won but didn't cover. They beat Wake Forest 37-13.
What was the line on that game?
35.
34 is what I saw.
34, okay.
Oklahoma beat Missouri State 48-0. Another surprise here, Notre Dame was a 23-point favorite against Duke. They won 27-13, so Duke played them tough.
They sure did.
Texas won 59-3 over Utah. North Carolina, very crazy game here. North Carolina, the score with Syracuse was 7-6 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
The line was 23. North Carolina wins 31-6. Then you had Lafayette, who we mentioned earlier, upset Iowa State 31-14. You had Arkansas State that beat
I'll interject here on Lafayette.
Kansas State 35-31.
I was listening to Feinbaum yesterday, going to get my kids from school, and Coach Napier from Lafayette was the guest. And he said something, Feinbaum said something I'd never heard. He said that Napier was offered a head coaching job at some SEC school last year.
Mississippi State.
Who was it? Mississippi State?
Yeah.
And turned it down. So he must have known, one reason he did that, he must have known he had a really good team coming back that would improve his stock even more for future. So I would say in the next coaching go-round, if he can continue what he's doing, he'll be going to a big-time school, don't y'all think?
Bill, I'm going to make a prediction right here. You remember I said this in 2020.
Okay.
Billy Napier will be the next coach at the University of Alabama.
He's in the...
You can just write it down.
What now will be the next coach at Alabama?
He will be
He
the
coached
next
Alabama
head
twice.
coach. He loves Alabama. He will be the next football coach at Alabama when Saban retires.
And you call him Napier. It's Napier, isn't it?
Napier is what I always heard. I always heard of Napier, Billy Napier. He coached in Alabama twice. He was at Clemson for a long time. I would say they would choose Pruitt over Napier.
I think Napier...
Well, I think they're going to offer it to who at Clemson, though. They're going to offer it to him.
Oh, yeah, Dabo.
Well, those are all good coaches, good prospects.
Appalachian State won 35-20. West Virginia and Neal Brown won 56-10 against Eastern Kentucky. Troy will play Eastern Kentucky this year. Army continues to roll. They beat another team. This team was out of the Sun Belt. They beat Lyon Monroe 37-7. Army's blowing everybody out. Dad mentioned this game earlier. Texas San Antonio was up 24-6 against Texas State. Texas State came all the way back, went into 2 overtimes, and San Antonio won 51-48. I called this upset, or I called this being a close game. Georgia Tech beat Florida State 16-13. That's 4 straight openers in a row that Florida State has lost.
A lot of great programs have really gone down, and I say Florida State's been the worst.
Georgia Tech had a pure freshman quarterback getting his first college start and played very well and beat FSU at FSU.
Real athletic guy. This is a crazy game here, Dad. Georgia Southern had 33 guys out due to COVID-19.
I was wondering what happened there.
Either tracing or they had the virus. 33 guys out. So this game against Campbell, who Troy opened the season with last year, 27-26. Campbell goes for the win, goes for 2, and doesn't make it. Georgia Southern holds on.
I watched some of that on TV, and Campbell's quarterback is really, really good.
Yeah, they've got some players.
Somebody, if he can transfer one day as a graduate transfer to a big time program, he will play because he is the real deal.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Tulane came back and beat South Alabama 27-24. Louisville beat West Kentucky 35-21. Crazy game here. Texas Tech only beats Houston Baptist 35-33. Coastal beats Kansas 38-23. Pittsburgh beats Austin Peay 55-0. That's your college games.
Somebody told me that Coastal Carolina looked real good too. It had some real good-looking players.
I told you that. They're real physical defensive front.
Well, here's what's going to happen in these games. You referenced it with Georgia Southern. How many players sit out and whether you forfeit or reschedule a game. But I've heard several coaches say it now. It's not the number of players that have COVID that's their concern, it's the contract tracing. So apparently if you have COVID, if you've come in contact with anybody else, they sit you not for 10 days, but for 14 days. You're perfectly fine, but you cannot practice, or you got to stay in quarantine for 14 days, and that is what's getting all these teams. It's the contract tracing.
I'm going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. This show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy, where right now their third year anniversary sale is going on. The biggest sale in their history since coming to Troy over 3 years ago. And it's all going on at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. We'll be back to more of Today in L.A.
Want a new Jeep? 2020 Renegade, start at $169 a month. New Cherokee, $249 a month. Grand Cherokee, $269 a month. Jeeps cost less than Troy. Shop PremierTroy.com during Jeep Adventure Day. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa Know-How. It's our anniversary sale. New Ram, 0 APR, and no payments for 90 days. New Ram Quad Cab, $259 a month. Rams cost less than Troy during Ram Power Days. Shop us at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Sisters, and Sisters is wide awake and going. And of course, remember on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, there's spaghetti, his famous spaghetti. And of course, their food is delicious.
Plug for Sisters.
They were open on Sunday for the first time.
Y'all need to know this. My wife, Carrie Rice, it's her birthday today. I'm not going to tell you how old she is, but she's a year older. And she sent me a text, and all it was a picture of the Sisters menu. And she said, "Hint, Bill Rice." So I think for my wife's birthday, I'm supposed to take her some Sisters.
That'd be great. That'd be great. You going to do it today, or when are you going to do it?
Well, you know, I wondered about that. As she gets out of school at 5, or gets home at 5, how do I get Sisters and keep it for her until 5 o'clock?
She doesn't get home until 5 o'clock.
Well, she tutors after school.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. She gets a little extra money, and then she tutors kids one-on-one after school.
I've heard she's an excellent teacher.
Bill, you put it in the refrigerator and then you microwave it.
Yeah,
there you go. All right. Well, there you go. Okay.
Will Matthews is.
Or you put it in the oven. Let it just sit on lukewarm.
Will, of course, we've got a big weekend going on. That was good. Let me just tell y'all something though. Before all these games, before the South Alabama game came on, a game came across the screen. It was on channel 18, and it was the replay of Troy's tremendous victory over Marshall. It was a game where Troy tore down the goalpost, first time ever tearing down the goalpost. But I watched it in its entirety. It was in 2002. And Marshall came to town with all that great reputation. They had that great coach that hadn't lost but 5 ball games, and it was on national TV. And Troy had, what was his name, Leach, the quarterback? Aaron Leach, and the wide receiver was the great Samples, who I think might be one of the best of all time. And then the running back was the all-time leading rusher, Mike.
Yeah, DeWitt Betterson.
DeWitt Betterson.
He played in the NFL a little bit.
That game, though, the stadium was packed. I mean, was just packed. And the camera work was big time. It was the most big time I've ever seen Troy play on television. It happened in 2002.
I think Thursday night when they beat Missouri, when you had Corso, Herbstreit, and Fowler.
Well, that was big.
Ranked Missouri team. That's got to be the biggest victory.
I can't remember if we tore down. Did we tear down the goalpost after that game?
Yeah, they tore down the goalpost that night too.
I think that Marshall game was before the second stadium expansion.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it was just 17,000.
No, they did. No, this Marshall game, I want to tell you, it was after the expansion.
So it's 30,000 seats.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And it was one of the.
Troy beat Marshall there the year before because we went to the game.
No, they had beaten us, Mike. This was Donnan was doing the color, and he was talking about how good a 1AA team were. We were already 1A when we beat Marshall. We were 1A. It was our first big 1A victory, and beat Marshall. And they had beaten Kansas State the week before.
The first big 1A victory was Mississippi State at Mississippi State.
Yeah, at Mississippi State. Yeah. But it was a tremendous game, and it was a tremendous game. I was so proud of the way everything looked on television, the quality. Troy led in that ball game, the entire ball game until that last fourth quarter, and they went ahead with their quarterback that really had a great game. But Troy had so many athletes in that game, and they had those beautiful jerseys, which I wish they would have all the time. They had the, what do you call it, maroon look?
Yeah, I like that. That's the classic Troy Cardinal look? Or?
Yeah, they used to call it, UCLA wore those, but it was just everything about it was first quality. And, of course, Larry Blayton had been coaching at Troy for 13 years, and, it was great to see a lot of those guys coaching. Of course, Mike Turk was handling most of the offensive stuff, and Don Jacobs.
Derek Ansley, the Tennessee defense coordinator, took an interception back for a touchdown.
All right, he intercepted 2 passes. Ansley was fabulous in that game. He intercepted 2 passes and ran one of them back 70 yards for a touchdown. Ansley was a great player, and I think he was just a sophomore in that game.
Yeah, he was really good. He was good. He started as a freshman, was never really big. And, he is the defensive coordinator at the University of Tennessee now.
Yeah, that's right.
He'll be a head coach at some school before long.
No question about it. He's a fine young man, too. And I'll tell you this, the quality of players, though, and they were strong. I don't know if it was that uniform made them look so strong, but they were strong in that game, and so was Marshall. It was a heck of a game.
Was DeMarcus Ware on that team?
No, yeah, he was on that team. He was a sophomore on that team. And he made several big plays in that game at Ward number 94. And they said, y'all better watch this guy in the future. And sure enough.
I bet OCU Manure was on that team, too. He's 2 years older than...
If he was, I can't remember. They didn't mention him. But if we could ever get a hold of that tape and run it again, it was a great game. And also the Missouri game, which was a great game. That was a game where Troy was down 14-0 before we could turn around, wasn't it, Mike? They had a Heisman Trophy type quarterback.
DeWitt Betterson.
Brad Smith.
I've covered some of those games as a reporter and got to have sideline passes and take pictures. I spent the half in the press box and half on the field taking pictures. And I remember that's when you can tell how violent and rough this football game is, when you're on the sidelines.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And DeWitt Betterson, I remember him as a running back and just
hard-nosed.
I would hate to tackle that guy. Yeah. God, he was
and
big, fast.
Yeah.
So Troy won that game 33-24.
33-24. It was a great game, and
the next year, you're right. They went to Marshall. We went to that game. I got a speeding ticket right in on the Kentucky line for about $300.
Yeah.
And then the trooper got me going with about 83 and a 70.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And, Troy beat Marshall at Marshall 17-15.
Which they hadn't lost at home for a long time. What was that coach's name that's so good at Marshall, Mike? They never were the same after he left.
His name was Bob Pruitt.
Bob Pruitt, and I think his record was something like 65-5. I mean, it was unbelievable how good they were. And Pruitt was a great one. And Donnan had coached there previously, and he bragged about how the team. What he said about that on that TV. Troy had lost to them in the quarterfinals of the Division 1AA championships. They played the game at Marshall, and you know what he said? He said we won the game, but he said they were better. They were a better team than we were.
And then they went on and won the national championship.
I think we were ranked number 1 in the country in 1AA. And they had the bad weather and they blocked a kick. Troy hadn't had a kick blocked and they blocked the kick.
Troy lost by a field goal. And that was the best 1AA team Troy ever had. And he's right that they play that game in Troy or on a warm day.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Troy wins that
terrible
game.
Weather. Another tough
24 to 21 they lost that game.
Yeah, sure did.
It was Kelvin Simmons was the quarterback.
That was 1993.
Of course, yeah, you're right. Simmons was the quarterback, and their quarterback went on and played the pros, and he was quite a player.
Did y'all know what Marshall did that changed college football forever?
Airplane crash.
The airplane crash, and the NCAA voted to allow freshmen to play for the first time, and they've been playing ever since, and that's been, 50 years ago.
You know, I didn't realize that. That was after the crash, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, after the crash, the whole team was killed.
You know, we went
except the freshmen, because the freshmen were allowed to travel.
I remember we went to a high school game the night before and had spaghetti supper and all that. You could tell they loved their football back then. But we went to a restaurant the next day on game day at Marshall, and everywhere you went, you saw Go Herds. And it took me if we had Go Trojans all over the place. But even but it said.
Do y'all remember who Marshall played on the road when they were coming back and crashed near the airfield there in Huntington, West Virginia?
East Carolina, I think.
East Carolina, that's right.
How do you remember that? I could not remember that.
I remember stuff that's not important.
How about Marshall playing Appalachian State this week? That's gonna be a great game.
That's gonna be a good game, yeah. I believe Marshall's gonna beat them. I believe Marshall will beat them, Mike.
Well, they got the best named coach in football, Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday, yeah.
I was reading the Alabamians in the NFL thing that Mark Inabit does on AL.com. He does a great job. If you played high school or college football in Alabama, he's going to tell you what team you're on and your status, if you're on the practice roster or what. But I always followed that Justin Thomas kid for Appalachian State that started at safety for 3 or 4 years because he was quarterback at Montgomery Academy when I lived up there and watched him. And he got cut in the NFL. He was a free agent. He got cut, but he got picked up. He's on some team's practice squad, so he's making an NFL salary.
Yeah. The NFL has 16 players on practice squads this year. It's a record.
Mike, I'm gonna make my first pick of the year.
Okay. Will Matthews.
Appalachian State will beat Marshall 30-21. That's my first pick of the year.
Evidently, they must play at home. Do they play at home?
I want to say they play at Marshall.
They play at Marshall?
I'm predicting Appalachian State.
You got to look at these states and see how many fans they allow. I mean, these games where there's nobody in the stadium, you can forget home field advantage. That's no advantage whatsoever.
Well, right now, I have not seen any tickets so far that have been sold to the Middle Tennessee game from Troy. So if I'm wrong, somebody please call and tell us.
All you got to do is call the athletic department. They'll tell you if Troy gets any tickets.
Right now, the word was no, but I haven't seen and talked to them up person.
Appalachian State ranked 23rd going into Marshall. Marshall is going to be the home team. Appalachian State's 3.5-point favorite.
Marshall's pretty good. They're very athletic. That's going to be a heck of a game. I'm going to go the other way.
Well, West Virginia won big time in their first game, and they had 11 players out, not because of COVID, but because Neal Brown suspended them for some infraction.
Oh, boy. I didn't know that. And, of course, a lot of that is going on. We're going to mention our good friends at Bill Jackson Ford, Bill Jackson Chevrolet, in Troy, Alabama, and we appreciate them being our sponsors, and of course also our good friends at Troy Regional Medical Center, one of the great local hospitals in Alabama, and we appreciate what they do for our community so much. And of course, Troy Bank and Trust Company, the only bank you'll ever need is Troy Bank and Trust Company, with 13
locations
to choose from throughout the Southeast Alabama.
Talking about players opting out and opting in, Texas A&M's top receiver is opting out.
Really?
Yeah, and Mon's #1 target. They talked about it on the SEC Network last night, and he showed some of his highlights. He looks like a really good player. But my question is, why do these players go through 3 or 4 weeks of practice and then decide to?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if I was going to opt out, I would have opted out before. It's weird. A lot of players have done that, and then now there's some that are opting in. LSU had a defensive lineman that opted out, and now I read last night that he's decided he wants to opt back in.
I was wondering about that.
Are they going to let him back?
That A&M receiver, though, he's like maybe a 5th to 6th round pick. So why in the world are you not going to try to play and go up in the draft?
No, you're right.
And they said, he's going to be the target, the main guy they have. He seemed like he'd get a lot of catches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I can't understand it either.
What about this change? Did y'all realize this? Baylor and Houston both had games postponed due to COVID. So Houston was going to play Memphis.
Yeah, that'd been a big game.
COVID cases. They picked up Baylor now with a week's notice, and they'll play Baylor this weekend. Houston and Baylor. That'll be a good game.
Shoot, yeah, well, sure.
Hey, give us a weather update after window, Michael.
It's windy and no rain right now, just wind. So
Yeah.
hopefully.
Are your children going to school, or are they going to stay home?
No. Our schools got canceled yesterday.
Okay.
Walton County schools got canceled yesterday, today.
Yeah.
Probably will be canceled tomorrow.
We probably need to make a call into Troy schools
Hey,
to see what they're doing.
Mike,
Yeah.
my daughter lives in Gulfport, and that's where it's fixing to land.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, God.
Hopefully it's gone down to 85 miles per hour. Hopefully it'll keep on going down.
Is she going to come up this way, or is she going to ride it through?
So they live probably 10 miles off the coast, so they're gonna stay.
I had a real fun time yesterday. I had to go through an MRI.
How'd that go?
Well, let's just say this: I thought it was going to be for 45 minutes, and then right before we get in, before I get in that MRI, I closed my eyes. I said, "How long it's going to be?" She said, "An hour." And I said, "An hour?" Yeah, everybody told me it was going to be. It's bad enough. It's going to be 45 minutes. Well, anybody's ever been in an MRI, it's not easy, and I was in total. But I closed my eyes and I said and made it through, and was so excited when the guy started shutting everything down. He said, "All right, we're through, but I need 8 more minutes." That was the longest 8 minutes of my life. Those last 8 minutes. So let me tell you this: if you want to have fun, go get in an MRI. That's what real fun is.
It's not like you can read a book while you're in there.
Oh gosh, it sure isn't, and you can't move and all that. But I'll tell you what I did do. I closed my eyes and I never opened them up until I got out of that machine.
Good.
I didn't even want to think about it,
I'm sure they had you on some pretty heavy medicine.
No, they really didn't, Mike. It really didn't. It was not any kind of knockout medicine. I remember everything that was going on. I tried to remember every football game I've ever been to and whatever. I try to get, but it's not a pleasant feeling. I'll just tell you that. And but it's over with, and thank you, Lord, for being with me.
And it was in Birmingham.
It was in Birmingham at of course that's the medical mecca of the world. I reckon UAB might ranks. I don't know. Does the Cleveland Clinic rank above? I don't know if any hospital in America ranks ahead of UAB.
You got a lot of hospitals in Houston with Rice University.
Yeah, for special things, and of course, we're very fortunate.
Well, we better talk about this hurricane a little bit more because it looks. I watched the Weather Channel a good bit last night, and it looks like it's going to hit about Gulfport, the Alabama-Mississippi border, and then it's going to take a hard right turn and go right towards Montgomery, which puts it right towards Troy.
Yeah.
And the winds don't look like they're going to be that bad, but they say it can produce a ton of rain.
Let's refer to our studio.
It's going 3 miles an hour.
What did it say, Steve? Give us our latest weather news, if you can.
Stalled.
Stalled right now. It's stalled. So it's not inland yet. Is that right? So Steve knows all about the weather.
Remember that hurricane that hit Texas a couple years ago? It wasn't the wind that did devastation, that flooded Houston.
Is that going on now, or are we expecting 85 miles an hour winds?
That's going on now. Cat 1, 85 mile an hour winds.
And that's off of Mobile or where?
Yeah.
Off of Mobile.
85 mile an hour winds right off of Mobile, and they're heading inland. Is that right?
No, it's not moving.
But right now it's at a stalemate.
We're under tornado watches and we're under tropical storm warnings. We're just past hurricane warnings. Hurricane warnings extend all the way almost to Destin.
Steve, is the real bad weather supposed to be tonight or in the morning hours or what?
Tonight.
Wednesday. Steve says Wednesday is when it's going to really hit. Is that us or the coast? That's us. On Wednesday we should have. So we might even be shut down here. Is that right, or do we know?
Might be. It seems like if it's stalled, it seems like it might be, you know, they were saying Wednesday afternoon, but it might be Wednesday night if it's going that slow.
Yeah. Well, we got a call coming in right here. Let's see.
Well, we got 2 lights. You got to take them off.
Where's the whole button? Hit me. I can't read. All right, there we go. Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, this is Forrest.
Forrest Lee. All right, my friend. What you got?
If you want tickets to the Middle Tennessee football game, I just talked to the ticket office at 10 o'clock. You can go to BlueRaiders.com and try to get tickets. They're going to open up a few at 10 o'clock this morning. You got to do it online.
Go BlueRaiders.com. You want to drive me up there?
I've got, I'll be working Saturday. It's my birthday, too.
Oh, it is. All right.
I might go with you.
Well, that'd be great.
If I can get the permission from the
Go BlueRaiders.com.
If it wasn't for that, I might would go, but it's what they told me.
Okay. But again, though, you go on your internet at 10 o'clock to go BlueRaiders.com.
How long a drive is it? Is it?
I've been there many times. You head like you're going to Nashville, and about 40 miles or 50 miles outside of Nashville, you'll take a right, and you'll head to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You can drive it. You can go and come on. It's going to be a 3 o'clock kickoff, so game will be over probably around 6. You could head home and get home by 12 o'clock or 4, if you wanted to, or you want to spend a night, whatever.
I've never been to Murfreesboro.
Well, I tell you what, you and I need to talk. We need to talk because I'd love to see that game.
Well, I can drive that nice truck you got.
That's right. You sure can. You sure can. Exactly right.
I might do it.
That sounds like a good deal. Of course, that's going on. Are you still on, Forrest?
Yeah, I'm on.
Is everything else going good? Is the guy tell us about
Let's
Brundy's
see. Let's put you on the wing now. Will's dropped off. Let's see if I can put him on hold.
Yeah.
And then let's go conference.
Yeah.
All right, y'all both here now.
Right,
Michael.
Mike, you on?
Yeah, I got you.
All right,
And then we got Forrest.
Is Will gone?
Will's got Sept off.
All right, we got Forrest Lee on the line, Mike, and we're talking about going to the Middle Tennessee State game, Mike, where Forrest says you can go to GoBlueRaiders.com at 10 o'clock this morning and buy tickets. Is that right, Forrest?
Yes, so that's what I just called the ticket office. Said there'll be a few available at 10 o'clock, so I'd get on at 9:50.
Well, you'll probably need to get them at on your phone too. I wonder if Mike knows how. I wouldn't know how to do that.
No, I wouldn't either. But I'm very interested in going to the game.
The big issue is you don't want to be sitting around a bunch of Middle Tennessee State fans. I wonder if you can be able to sit with all the
that I know it, but that wouldn't bother me.
players.
That wouldn't bother me. I just like to go to the game, and in fact, I could see us getting up early Saturday morning and being up there by noon. If we wanted to. And we go out and eat.
You're talking about at least a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, exactly. And but we're talking about if I drove right now to Nashville, Mike, it'd be about a 4-hour drive, wouldn't you think?
No, Nashville's farther than that.
What, should we go Friday and go stay in Nashville?
Yeah, well, we could do that.
You're talking about at least 2 hours and 45 minutes from Birmingham.
I like Nashville is a fun city, buddy. My wife took one of those girls' trips to Nashville. There's a lot to do in Nashville.
Oh yeah, and it's not but about 40 miles from there, and.
You don't even go into Nashville though. You cut off.
Oh, I know. I've already told them that I know it's south of. You turn off south of Nashville.
I think it's 24 you get on.
Oh, what I'm saying is the best trip to Murfreesboro is go the night before and have some fun and see some of the sights in Nashville, then drive over. It's like when you go
that would be fun.
When Alabama plays LSU, you go to you stay in New Orleans and then drive over to Baton Rouge.
Well, you know,
all the places in Nashville were closed because of COVID. Though I've already seen all kinds of stuff on television and email and on Facebook about it.
No.
So nothing's even open.
Man,
well, we're gonna sure look into it, no question about it. And my friend from over in Tennessee, well, actually, he's not from Tennessee. He's from North Georgia. He's going to be trying to pick up his tickets today too. So
you know what's closed is taking a big hit in COVID is all the museums. And the one time I went to Nashville, I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's been closed and is still closed, but that was a good couple hours.
Yeah, we used to drive
we
in.
We used to go up there when Brian was pitching for the Nashville Sound, AAA Pirates organization. And we used to go out with all the players after the game up there, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could get up with Ty Coppinger and Debbie. They live in the rich, what's the real little rich town outside of Nashville?
They live in Brentwood.
Brentwood, yeah,
that is a rich where I bet that's got to be one of the best minor league franchises is the Nashville Sound. That would be a good gig if you have to play minor league.
Boris, is everything else going? Give us some other news. Charles Henderson, who they have this week?
Ooh, Andalusia Thursday night.
Oh boy, that'll be a good game. Andalusia playing in Troy. You think that Charles Henderson can play with them?
No.
Wait a minute now. That's my alma mater you're talking about.
This game is also subject to Sally too. Subject to Sally. They have a Thursday night game. If Sally is stalled and moves a little slower.
Is that the name of this Hurricane Sally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mustang Sally.
Yeah, I sent a message to Sally Green yesterday.
Tell her to get out of there. Get out of there.
That's the Sally I know, Sally Green.
I said, go away, Sally.
Yeah, go away, Sally.
I hope you slow your hurricane down.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a Lou Reed song called Sally Can't Dance. If y'all know who Lou Reed is, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
What y'all think about Brady and Breeze? I watched pretty much all that Tampa Bay New Orleans game. I thought Breeze didn't do a whole lot, but man, Brady made a lot of mistakes.
Brady threw the ball too high. Brady did not look sharp. You're right.
2 horrible interceptions.
Yeah, you're right. And but I tell you what, that was hard for me to pick there. I couldn't help but pick for Breeze. A lot of people say he's the finest man in football. Just a great individual. Of course, his wife's from Birmingham. He spends a lot of time. Yeah, he spends a lot of time in Birmingham. But he is just a premium individual.
How did I miss that? Well, how did he meet his wife from Birmingham?
I don't know. She's from Hoover. He started so he can recruit Hoover. Yeah. Of course, ladies and
Boy,
gentlemen.
you go to New Orleans and all you see in all the shops is cool Drew Brees jerseys everywhere.
Well, we're 2 weeks away from our, not really, I reckon you'd call it 2 weeks, about 11 or 12 days until the SEC opens their season. And when they open their season, boy, we're going to be wide open. That's going to be a lot of
Have
football.
we talked about Auburn? Auburn has got COVID issues. They've 10 players have missed practice. They said 5 or 6 of them have COVID proper, but then this contract tracing is getting a bunch of them. So Auburn is going to play a good Kentucky team. All these players are supposed to be back, but they ain't practicing. So they're going to come back like 2 days before the game and then suddenly have to get ready to play a game.
Mike, this Georgia Southern game is an example of what could happen to more or less anybody. You got to really hand it to the Georgia Southern people. They went in with just play. I bet they had to play third stringers in that game, Mike.
They had about 5 or 6 starters out.
They got down and came back. I was flipping through, and I watched a little bit of it. The quarterback from Georgia Southern made a couple long runs. He's still there, works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, though,
as long as they have him at quarterback, they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, they run that option, no question about it. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but the real football is coming up in 2 weeks with the SEC. I don't just say it's real football.
The real football, come on, man. You got to give Sun Belt some credit.
No, I do. I mean, what I'm saying is, as far as fan interest, the SEC will start in 2 weeks with Alabama traveling to Missouri and Auburn having to play host to Kentucky. You're exactly right. If Auburn, we're going to find out if their front is strong enough. Kentucky will beat you if they can block you, and I don't know if they can block you or not.
Well, I've read up on your football magazine that I'm going to bring that back to you one day.
Well, good. That's great. Yeah.
Kentucky has a lot coming back.
Yeah.
A lot of linemen. Their defense was really good last year. Their quarterback, who got hurt, is back. You know, the more I read about Kentucky, I don't know what that line's going to be, but it's no sure thing victory for Auburn.
We're going to talk more about it after we get back from this break. Yes.
Want a new Jeep? 2020 Renegade, start at $169 a month. New Cherokee, $249 a month. Grand Cherokee, $269 a month. Jeeps cost less than Troy. Shop PremierTroy.com during Jeep Adventure Day. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you were out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
By its very nature, doing big things takes resilience and strength. You did the hard part. You did it, and will go farther still. Max is proud to be your champion, removing obstacles that get in your way. We make technology easy, saving and funds access uncomplicated, and provide help when and how you want it. You control your money with expert guidance from Max Credit Union. Smart money made simple.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
It's our anniversary sale. New Ram, 0 APR, and no payments for 90 days. New Ram Quadcast, $259 a month. Rams cost less than Troy during Ram Power Days. Shop us at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Yeah, we did. Back to our show, brought to you by Premier, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. And remember, this Friday, as we'll do every Friday, we'll have Premier, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks. Picks of the week, brought to you by Premier, Dodge, Ram, and pickup trucks. We appreciate them. And, of course, Jason Gregory, the owner and operator, is going to be sitting right here with Bill Rice and I, picking ball games on starting this Friday right here on your dial. Forrest Lee is on the line. Forrest, one more time, tell us how you can people can possibly get tickets to the ball game.
You can go to GoBlueRaider.com, and I've got the phone number.
Yeah, what is it?
615-898-5744, and that's the phone number I just called, and he gave me the instructions on what website to go to. But I would call ahead of time and talk to someone in the ticket office to make sure I did it the exact right way.
Area code 615-898-5744. 898-5755. Oh, excuse me, 5744. All right, let me do it again. 615-898-5744.
That's correct.
And to get information
This
about
is a
tickets
big
to that
game. Troy needs to win the first game.
Oh, yeah.
And then they got South Alabama, which will be a huge game.
Yeah.
Brigham Young, which will be a massive game. To go 12-0, like I predict, you got to win the first one. And it's a pick'em type game, a field goal type game at Middle Tennessee. It's a old rivalry game, too.
You know, let me just tell you this, Mike. 50 years. How long would you think I've been a real serious Troy fan? How long would you think that'd be?
I mean, you're 73. You started probably going to games when you were playing, what, 8 or 9?
6.
Yeah, I started going to games 8 or 9 and been a serious supporter for what?
Probably 65 years.
Yeah, at least that. And I was told this weekend that I could not see a Troy practice.
Oh, wow.
That's out of all those years. I was told that there was going to be a closed practice, and I could not go in.
You could not go up and park up there and watch it?
Well, I couldn't park it, but they were practicing inside the stadium.
Oh, okay.
And they closed it up pretty good. I could have watched probably from George Wallace Drive, the street up there, but I said, well, if they...
You walked in there and they ran you out, huh?
No, I didn't walk in there. I asked the SID when they were going to practice or were they going to scrimmage. He said they're going to have a mock scrimmage on Saturday, but it's going to be closed. And I said, you mean I can't go in and watch them? He said, yes, it's a closed scrimmage. And I said, this is the first time in 55 years that I've been rejected from watching my team practice.
I want to tell you something I read that's kind of
which is their business, and I went by the rules.
What happened with Chip Lindsey coming on the show? This is the first time in 22 years of a show that you had the head football coach come on.
I know it, and we might have him as early as tomorrow, I hope, but we don't know. We don't know.
I don't know about on a game week.
Yeah. Well, he's been pretty loyal, no question about it, and we'd love to hear from him or hear from one of his assistants. But like you said, Rice said, it's going to be a very important game for Troy to get off on a winning note here, and then get ready to travel all the way to Provo, Utah after that.
And we guess that game's still on. Utah postponed a game they're supposed to play Saturday against Army, right?
I was wondering who actually did it.
Yeah, it was BYU. I thought the athletic director was going to invite you to sit in the box on the Pro Bowl.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard from him. But let me just say this. So BYU is the one that called it off. Is that right?
Yeah, they said they just had a couple, 1 or 2 or 3 players that tested positive. And that was enough. I guarantee it's this contract tracing. If those 3 players were around 15 more, that's 18 players that can't practice. And the window of when you can't practice is actually shorter for the people who have it, because it has to do with the incubation period. So if you test positive, they say, well, you've already got it and you're probably almost over it, so you can get a negative test in 5 days and be right back playing. But they think that the people that were near you, they've got to be free of it for 14 days before they let them back on the practice field. And that's tough.
So the Troy game could be in Jasper. Is that right? In 2 weeks.
Probably. I mean, now it seems like mostly they're canceling one game, but I don't.
I don't think BYU's going to cancel a home game. That game was at Army.
Oh, okay. That game was at Army. Yeah, that'd been a great game too. That would have been a good one to see. It would help Troy a lot too.
I've got the schedule for this weekend if you want to watch it.
All right, give it to us.
This is the TV schedule. You have Navy at Tulane, which ought to be a pretty good game, 11 a.m. on ABC. That's amazing exposure for Tulane. Houston at Baylor at 11 a.m. on Fox. Big game of the Sun Belt, Louisiana Lafayette at Georgia State on ESPN2 at 11 a.m. Liberty and your favorite coach Hugh Freeze against Western Kentucky at 11 a.m. on ESPNU. Boston College at Duke on Fox Sports South. Syracuse at Pittsburgh 11 a.m. on ESPN+. Appalachia State at Marshall on CBS Sports Network. Notre Dame on USA Network. Central Florida at Georgia Tech on ABC. Florida Atlantic at Georgia Southern on ESPN at 2:30. Charlotte at North Carolina at 2:30 on Fox Sports South. Troy at Middle Tennessee State, 3 p.m. on ESPN2.
That's great.
Citadel at Clemson on ACC Network. SMU at North Texas on CBS Sports Network. Miami at Louisville, a night game at 6:30 on ABC. Louisiana Tech at Southern Miss on ESPN2 at 6:30. Texas State is on TV again against La Monroe on ESPNU at 6:30. Wake Forest at North Carolina State on the ACC Network. That's all your television games for next week.
Yeah, that is something. What time is the Troy game going to kick off?
3 p.m.
Is that 3 p.m. Central? I guess so.
That's what it says.
Central, is that Central?
That's what it says, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, that is good television right there, no question about it. But it's, of course, an opportunity to go to the game and buy tickets. You can go to area code 615-898-5744. I'm going to do it one more time. 615-898-5744. Or you can go to GoBlueRaiders.com and hopefully at 10 o'clock they're going to go on there.
And what we think is going to be a very exciting Troy football team, right?
It sure is.
This is the Battle of the Palladium that they used to play for every year. They play Middle Tennessee State twice.
And of course they got embarrassed by Army, but don't let that fool you. They've had a week to get ready. And, we don't know how many players they had out going into that game with Army.
And Army might be pretty good.
And I've been to several games there. So it's a nice stadium, very nice stadium. And like you said, it's just right off of 65. You go 65 all the way to Nashville, but you get off about 40 miles south of Nashville and turn toward Murfreesboro. And that's where the game will be held. So we'll be taking a look at that one pretty soon. Of course, any of the early games this week, Mike? We got any Thursday night games to look at?
I want to say Thursday night game got canceled, but I have to look and see.
Yeah. All right, are you going to go be at work at the Brundage Country Club today, Forrest?
No, so I'm going to work in my wood shed.
Work in your wood shed, okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't think you'll be having any golfers for the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's going to be good for the golf course. So the rain's always good for the golf course, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
Me and you and Rice going to go at it on the golf course for long.
All right, y'all come on.
All right.
I'll see y'all later.
Thanks for joining in with us today.
You got a game Friday night with Campbell against Coastal Carolina.
Forrest, who does Charleston? You said they play Andalusia on Thursday night. That's going to be a good game.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Goodbye.
And of course, that's information that we get over the phone this morning. I appreciate Forrest Lee calling in. Andalusia and Troy have not played in years. That was a huge, huge rivalry for so many years, Andalusia and Troy. And they've started it back because Andalusia is now in Troy, Charles Simpson's region, and they have a fine
You know
football
what? I want to make a point. You tell me if you agree with it. Troy and Charles Henderson had all these constant rivals through the years because it must have been they didn't change the regions for a long time. They were constant.
Well, they had
and now you change these areas and regions every other year, it seems like. But back then it was Andalusia, Opp, Elba, Greenville. You played the same teams every year.
And you had you're right. And even Sampson, we played Sampson. And of course, the only thing we had to play for was the South Alabama Conference Championship. Your daddy was on a team that won it in 1956, the 56 team.
Y'all won it, didn't you?
And then we won it my senior year in 1965. We won the South Alabama Conference Championship.
Hey, Dad, before you leave, you're going to want to go to the game even more because partly sunny skies in Murfreesboro. High 72, low 53.
Oh, man, what a beautiful weekend. Well, we just might
Can you believe that weather? It could be in the 50s
exactly.
by the time that game's over.
We're going to have some fun somewhere, either watching it at home or going to the game. We'll be making a decision on that. And I appreciate
that's
it.
unbelievable weather.
That's perfect.
Exactly right. We appreciate all of you that watched our show today, and of course, brought to you by Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks.
Happy birthday to Carrie.
And Carrie.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to your wife. Is that right?
That's right.
And of course, we appreciate you, Bill Rice Jr., being a part of our show. And we'll see you tomorrow, bright and early. Remember, Max Howell will be our guest on the show tomorrow.
Back in the same day is too much driving for me.
Yeah, okay.
But if we...
Well, see, I can drive, too.
Oh, this phone?
Yeah.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hey, they have changed the game to Friday night. Charles Central presents.
Oh, they have changed it? I wonder what made them do that.
I don't know.
Charles Central probably needed to practice, didn't they?
Well, probably the hurricane. Maybe the fears over
Yeah,
the
you're
hurricane.